Okay, today I'm going to show you a little bit about how to weld up a kayak. This is a customer's kayak. It's called a Dagger Bayou. And what happened is he's actually wore a hole in it, but he didn't just wear a hole in it, his dog chewed a hole in it, is what he told me. And so I'm going to show you a little bit on how to weld up a kayak. This kayak is a special type kayak. It's actually got a skin layer of regular polyethylene plastic, which is what this is. But it's also got a polyethylene plastic with a chemical in it that actually gases off during the cycle, causing a thin layer of like air-filled plastic bubbles. So in other words, what it does is it makes this boat lighter for the same stiffness of a regular size kayak. So that's something that Dagger did at one time. The reason I know that, I worked there and I was the one who helped build the duck buckets and everything to make it work. So, but we're going to show you how to weld this up today. First thing you want to look at is if there's a lot of water or moisture in it. We want to get rid of the moisture because the plastic does not want to stick where there's moisture. Now I've never used this little torch. This is something new. I usually have a regular bottle that a striker and it lights a torch to do it, but I'm here at the store and I do not know if this will work or not, but we're going to give it a try. First thing I want to do is get my little torch going, and I'm going to see if there's any moisture. Yesterday this had water in it. I had a little bit of water moisture. It's dried overnight. I do not feel it with my finger, any kind of moisture, but I'm going to go ahead and get this little torch going. It does have some trash in it with the dirt there. I don't know if you can see it, but right now I'm actually just trying to get rid of some some of the moisture. Now this boat may be harder to weld than normal because of the little foam stuff that I was talking about. Right now I'm just kind of drying it out a little bit, getting rid of these high edges. So you can see the little dirt in it. It'd be nice to clean that off. And you could take a grinder or sander and actually sand it down a little smoother. Let it take a little better. But what I'm trying to do is just dry it out, and we're going to see if this is going to take or not. Usually this melts pretty quick, and it did not. Okay, we're going to start here. This is thin right here too. He has done a little bit of scraping. We're going to start filling in some material. Now, you don't really want to heat this part up. You want to heat your little stick. And what this is just a piece of plastic that was cut down to size. It's just solid material. I'm going to get it up to a melting stage, and then I'm going to try to start gooping it on. I want it to bond to this part by melting to it. So once you're done, it's actually a solid melted piece. Like I said, I've never used this torch, so it may take me a whole lot longer than normal. And you can cut your pieces down thin as you want to. I like getting them towards a good melting point to where when I push it on, I want it to like sag away. See how now I'm twisting the handle, the plastic. That broke it off without doing this. So now I'm going to push it into the plastic. So I'm just pushing a little bit, not hard. And now I push that into the plastic. So now that should have melted to this plastic to where it's all one piece. We're going to keep going. What you cannot do easy is, if I wanted to put wet stuff on top of wet, it wouldn't stick. It would want to come back off all the time. So you want to work wherever it's dry. In other words, where it's not melted. And I just want it to do just like it did, to where it broke off real easy like. I'm gonna go with another layer here. See how I'm twisting it off? And now I'm pushing it where I want it and pushing it in. So that should be a good weld right there. Now that I did a couple of spots on it, I'll keep filling up like I just did here, but then I'll start working one side and then the other side, building it up to fill up that big gap. Because you cannot really fill up a big gap like that. So you'll have to work this side and then that side and then slowly sew up the middle on this big of a hole. Usually they're not that big, but this is a big one. I like keeping it burning a little bit when I put it on. That just helps me melt it in there. And then like always, I like pushing it down to smear it in to help it embed it into the plastic to really bond. Now see, I could, once it's dry, like this part here, it's dry and you can see where it's wet, I could add more on top of this if I wanted to and thicken it up. So it can keep going. And you will get sagging to where, like if you're going over a thin spot, it may sag down and look like it's collapsing in. Sometimes you can rotate your, let's get it wet. You can rotate, like flip the boat back the other way to where it's sagging away from it. That way it would actually sag this way if you rotated it over, but you're going to have it, if it got scraped, it would be thinner too. Oh, so you got to look at that. So it's almost better to let it sag this way and then put more on top of it. That thickens it all up. Anytime you can embed it all around anything, that just helps it bond better. Makes it a little stronger. As long as this is taking the full length of this stick, of plastic here, as long as it's going to take it, I'm going to keep doing it. You can see where the two are trying to bond there. See how I'm pushing it to it? And once it dries, you could sand it, shape it back in and stuff like that. I don't know how much that I'll do, but I'll see. We'll see what happens. You can kind of see where this middle part's starting to sag down, where it's nothing underneath it. Would I put anything under there to let it set on? Maybe, but probably not. I'd probably just fill around the edges and keep filling it till it fills up. You could put like a piece of wood or something there and let it fall on it to let it dry and then pull the wood out later, of course. But you just want it hot enough that when it's done, see how it's sagging pretty good? This time I'm going to try to put it here and build up some of this edge here. That one don't feel like it bond quite as good, wasn't quite as hot. Now, one bad thing is if I took this and dripped it to where it dripped on here, I'll show you. Okay, so I'm just going to get it hot enough, and it's just and you're like, well, I'm just going to fill it up by dripping it. Let me let it drip and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, just like a drip. Okay, you would think that covered good, but it really don't. you can actually probably take your fingernail, because it was a liquid kind of drip and it ain't the whole material. You could actually scratch that right off. See how it's scratching off? It don't bond good because it's a drip. You want it to be really melted plastic and not just the drip. Like I said, you don't need a torch like this. This is the first time I've ever used this torch. This is better right-handed than left, so twist it off. Embed it there. And that piece is pretty well done. I'm gonna get burned, so I'm gonna grab another piece. And you say, where can you get these pieces at? Call Easy Tro Outdoors, and I could have some of these strips. That's my company. I could probably send you a little pack of these strips for, I don't know, I ain't even checked the price on how much it cost me to do it, but we'll work out a little price if you're needing to weld up something. We'll just mail you some of these. I make the recessed trays for bass boats and stuff, so I usually have some plastic around. This piece is a little thinner, so it melted a little quicker. And here's where I'm talking about trying to build up the edges instead of just the regular torches at Lowe's, Home Depot, that's got the little gas tank that you can buy, work really well. That's what I usually use. I've got this little camping torch because I'm here at the store and I forgot to lift my other one at the house. So that's the reason I'm using this little torch here. Okay, on a quick note, doing with welding up the kayak, this is the propane bottle I would normally use, and of course it has the striker. That would be part of it. It's that type of a propane torch, easy to use. I know y'all seen these everywhere. Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace everywhere. Light it up and go. I got the fan blowing. That's the one I normally use instead of the little bitty striker. See how I felt that crack up a little bit right there? That way I can still come over it here in a little bit and do like I did up here. This is a pretty big crack. I mean, this is a whole tip gone, so. Usually it's just a little bitty crack of no bigger than nothing. That's just wore a hole in it, but this one, the dog got a hold of it, so. Once you get it where you're at, just blow it out so it can't keep burning. There's some other stuff you can do too. On certain boats, if it's just got like a hole or a little bitty hole, I've took gas tanks from tractors that's wore a hole in them, and I have some stuff that's spin welding, which it goes on a router with the plastic. Where I make the plastic stuff, I have all kinds of goodies that you wouldn't have access to. But I've spun weld, which is it's spinning so much the friction of it causes it to weld. And I've spun weld caps over top of a tractor where it's melted a hot screw through the tank, or something's wore, just sat there and drug and wore on it. That I did for some of the farmers in this area. I fixed, I guess 2 or 3 tanks, I fixed for them, just to help them out. Usually what happens is the word of one guy says, well, you know, he busted his tank, well, go down there and he'll help you. That's usually what happens. And we're going to start way down here at the bottom on this one. Shove it down in there. Now we do have this little funky little lip here that's sticking out, which I may grind it off. And it's just a matter of taking your time and doing it. It ain't no hurry. When I worked at the Dagger plant, we had a lot of scrap boats and stuff, and we'd cut the ends off and cut the end off here and weld up a flat piece on the bottom and make garbage cans. I've got a garbage can at the house that's a end of a boat that has the name of it, of the whitewater boats. And every once in a while you do something like that. Well, they just cut them up and trashed it. You can make little stuff out of it. She's burning good now. Let's take this one right back across the top here. It looks like a good time to do that. That one I don't like it as good. It looked like it was laying on top instead of melting to itself. Okay, we got her now. She's bonded now. But you can see how that big gap was. I filled it up by adding a little bit on each side. Now it is wanting to sag a little. See, it's sagging. That's okay. I can always throw more in. It just makes it a little thicker, so when they scrape it, it won't poke a hole back through. Now I'm using a lot of this little torch though. If you notice where I'm heating it up so much in the middle, that's so it'll stretch apart and separate from my little stick. See how it's sagging? But I never did catch it on fire good. I like to usually have them on fire. Yep, see. Now, let's reheat that a little bit and get it going. It won't separate good. There we go. She's burning. Let's get it on this side since I got the other side hot. Let me push it back up from the bottom. Layered it right on there. Yeah, and I have burnt myself by letting the plastic touch my hand and stuff like that. It just happens. When you're spinning it, drip on you or something. Get you a good, try not to do that. It's like one of them things. Be careful at home. Okay, I don't care to let it be even lower. Like, see how I filled that all in down there deep? So now I can lay on top of it, and that left that thicker right there too, so I kind of like that. Okay, this is going to be about the last one of this. I still haven't used that much. Sounding funny now. it doesn't right. Shows I got plenty of juice in there, some fluid. Okay, what I'm going to do on this one, because I want to fill that hole up so much, I'm going to shove this one, if I can. Well, it's a little too long. I was going to shove this whole piece in there and just leave it and work off the top of it. That one's a little long. Okay. Let's see what happens. We'll try this one. It may not work, it may. If I can get my little doodatter working again. A little torch. There it goes. Well, I want this end to be good and hot. It's on fire now. So let's see if I can't force it right here like that. Now I'll build it up that much. And then we're going to make this other side connect. Now you don't have to do something like that. I'm just doing it to kind of give it some more. Well, I may have to run up here close. There we go. Torches. Like I said, I've got usually one of them little bottles of, what is that stuff, propane? Propane bottles with the little torch on it that you can use a striker. Some of them has a, one I've got has got a, I use a striker, like a welder striker to strike mine, but they have some that has, okay. Okay, I gotta go cut some more of these pieces. I'll be right back. Okay, I said I didn't like this little lip here, so I brought my knife back with me and I'm gonna trim that off. Just don't get your finger in the way. I may have to fill up, see this right here? There's not a hole there, but you can see the dog's tooth where he's been chewing in it. I may throw a little plastic on top of that, turn it on its side and do that. Fill it up for the guy. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can get this thing burning again. There we go. Cut me some more little strips. That one's about ready. There she goes. I'm going to fill up this side here. Twist it off, push it in. Getting closer by the minute. Now if you've got a whitewater boat and it's a real old boat, you may not be able to do this. They used a material called crosslink, and it's made out of a like oil-based plastic. Trying to think of what they called it. A petroleum. How do you say that? Petroleum. Petroleum. It's a petroleum type plastic they used back in the old days with a lot of the whitewater boats and the first kayaks that came out. And usually you can tell, there's a couple ways you can tell if it's that type of boat. On the inside of the boat is usually a different color than the outside. Excuse me. But that, you know, when they rotomolded it, it would do the red or whatever color the boat was, and then on the inside it had a little bit different color, like a white looking color to it or something. And another way of doing it is just taking a piece of plastic like this and trying to weld it. When you stick it to it, it won't stick to it at all. It just pushes away. And that's because it's an oil-based type material. This material here is a polyethylene, super linear is what they started using most of the time, and it is made out of natural gas. It's not made out of the oil-based. It's made out of natural gas. That's the reason it melts to each other better. It's a lot cleaner too. The old plastic was known to cause cancer and stuff like that to people who was working on them, rotomolded on the stuff. You could actually breathe it and it wasn't as good. This stuff is a whole lot better on you. It's not going to hurt you like the petroleum type is, or it would. Okay, now we got one big old hole over here. And then we could shape it a little bit. Getting into a big thick piece of plastic that I trimmed now, it's going to take a little bit longer to heat up. But it should be a lot of material to put in, so it should do good. I like getting a little bit of tip so it'll melt too. She's starting to move on me. If I can get a hold of it, we're going to stick her right here. Bind all this in there. See how that melted? I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it was really melting both underneath and it, where it's so hot. That should bond really good. Hopefully I can get one more out of this piece. This little torch would be great if you was on the water camping or something and you pour a hole in your kayak or something. This little torch is doing pretty good for welding up this boat, even though it's not what I normally would use. Okay, now I'm kind of wet on both sides. And that one's done for. So we'll see if it'll stick. I can still stick on each side and not counting the wet part. The wet part of it would be okay. It would let it bond better. Sometimes you can't spin it and make it release. In other words, you can't spin this off to leave the little piece of plastic I want to leave because it wants to spin where it's wet. Got that one going good. Let's see if we can't fill in the hole a little bit. See, it done pretty good. Try not to break the plastic if you can. Just kind of blow it away as you're working. Looks like one more spot. We may have this one sealed. See, most people think, well, that boat's destroyed, it ain't gonna never work again. Well, guess what? Or they'll want to try to fiberglass it or something like that. But that just sealed that boat up. Right here looks like it's a little low there, so I'm gonna add a spot on it. And then I'm gonna fill up these little tooth marks, which is not leaking, so it'd be fine. But I'm gonna fill them up. And then there's a little trick I would do to make it look a lot better, which I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I can't do it with this torch, but I'll tell you what I do. Listen, this torch is okay for doing this little bit of plastic, but for what you could do to make it really seal good and look better. Okay, right here's that little spot. I said it looks like it's a little low. I'm just gonna set her on there and smash her down a little bit. Smash her in a little bit. Okay. Okay, what I would do to make this look better is once it's dry, and I'd also clean these spots off, is I'd take me a piece of, now this would just be extra to kind of clean it up, look. You could sand it down with a grinder or whatever, but you're removing plastic. So anytime you're removing the plastic, you're getting thinner and thinner, and you're going to wear another hole in it. I've took before a flat piece of metal. Of course, I have welding gloves on, and I've took my big torch, oxygen acetylene, and I've heated that metal up to where it's cherry red, to where that piece of metal is just red as, and just go real quick, and that'll smooth that out real pretty like. Just be careful, you will get burnt and stuff like that. But if you ever did any kind of welding or using torches and stuff, you know what I'm talking about. You can heat something up and just rub it real quick, and real fast when you sweep it, it's going to push every bit of that plastic down. So it would actually shape it right in there pretty good, you know what I mean? So if you're just out on the water and you've wore a hole in your boat, you can do something like this. This boat would be good enough right now to put in the water and start paddling on. Turn it over here on this side. I'm going to fill up this dog chew marks, little tooth marks. They're not poked through, they're just dents. But I'm going to try to do this and hold this boat. Bernie, if you don't mind holding, put your leg there or something. We'll try to keep this thing from spinning. It does have a little dirt in it, I don't like that. But I believe it'll be fine. And I can see right here's a little spot. It's sealed, but I'm going to add a little piece there too, just to kind of level that down. I can get my torch to light again. This torch would be great for like lighting a fire out in the woods and stuff, but camping, I was here and I'm used down to there welding this boat up. But I think I hear gas, there it comes. I was going to stop down there at Lowe's and buy me another little torch to keep here at the store. I probably should have, but I just said, well, we'll try this little thing. And this is a neat little torch. I mean, it actually does a good job. It's just, well, I welded that whole boat up with it. And you could light a bunch of little campfires and stuff with it. Here, right there's a hole or a dent. Go ahead and push that down in there. Like I said, that ain't the prettiest looking thing, but if you rubbed a hot piece of metal over it, it'd be slicker. And so I'll get out real smooth. And what it does, it pushes the plastic in, so you keep all the plastic. You ain't losing none of your plastic. Like if you ground it away or sanded it all away, you're keeping your material. Let's see here, we got one more big tooth mark. Here's a big tooth mark.
And see, if that was a little pinhole there that you got a leak in your boat, that's how easy it would be to fill up the little pinhole. That would have filled that right up because it's melted two surfaces together. Now I'm going to try to put a layer right there in that spot I said I didn't like the looks of it. And I don't need as much, so I'm just going to do the tip of this one. Right in there looks like a... What it is, when I pushed the plastic over, it just pushed over instead of touched. There we go. Let's go ahead and fill up that little spot. It won't take much. And see, you can just keep going. Let's go ahead and get that little tooth mark. And get my lighter to slide. Okay, let's call that side good. Let's rotate it over and see if there's any teeth marks on the other side. This side, but we'll see. Oh. This one ain't bad. Maybe we'll melt that right in there a little bit together. We'll just put us another bead of weld on there just to make it seal it up a little better. I guess I could put some down here for the guy. I believe it'd be fine if I had that hot piece of metal. And if I can find me a little piece of metal back there, I may try to do it if I can heat it up. I'll probably use every bit of this tank in this thing trying to do it. See how this has kind of got a big gap there? What happened, my surfaces got wet underneath and I couldn't break it off. So it was melting good onto the two plastics. So that looks pretty good. Let's get one right in here, but I'm going to have to get rid of that piece of plastic. Now I'm just kind of doing a little overkill on it. Doing a little extra. This lighter's called, what is that called? Sodo? So Brandon bought this for me for, what was it, Christmas or birthday or something? Christmas, I think. Christmas, had one of those Christmas gifts. You can refill this tank in this thing fluid-wise through the bottom of this little welder. And I don't recommend this welder for doing this. I'm just saying it'd be good if you can carry this in your backpack or something. Or if you don't have one, you can see it will work. Okay, let's put it right in here. Let's see if we can't force it in there. Since I pulled off of it, I don't like usually pulling off, but I was trying to do it left-handed. Usually when you stretch that stuff real thin, it ain't no good for nothing because it just lays on top. But right there, when you push it in, when it's real hot, it will actually melt this surface, and that's what you want, so it bonds. The stuff that you stretch, it may make it look better, but it ain't really doing much. See, that big torch you can have it down on the ground sitting on the tank, and then you can use both hands, where now I'm having to use one hand to hold the torch the whole time. That's the reason sometimes I'll throw it down on the ground when I want to put it somewhere right now. See how that didn't want to stick good? Okay. I believe it'll be fine though. That spot might would peel off, especially with all that dirt under it. Let's see if we can. Torch is running out of fluid. Let's do one more right there. That one's getting real good. See, that's how you want it good and lit up and melting good. So when it touches, it's melting both surfaces. That's a good bond there. Okay. See how that stuff is? See how it's bonded pretty good? Let's do one more right in there and kind of seal up the corner. Like I said, if I had a hot piece of metal, I'd just run it right over it and it would seal all that up. Just melt it all together real quick. But you have to work fast when you do that. But this will work if you just use a torch and some of this little polyethylene plastic. This is the same material my recessed trays for bass boats and my steps that I make for bass boats are. Let's put it right there. It looks like a spot that might want to catch hold of something, rip off something. We'll do one right there and one right there. That should be close. Looking good. And it's probably took me, how long you think it took? About an hour? And a lot of it's because this torch is so little, I could be doing it a lot faster if I had a bigger torch. If it's even that long. And that was, as you can see, this was a pretty big hole. I mean, it ain't no, had the whole thing going, you know. Let's light it. I'd rather have it on fire. That embedded good. That was a good one. I need, see, that's that big hunk of plastic I put on there. Let me fill up a little spot there, but that all could be easily pushed down with a hot piece of metal. And because I'm not at my other shop and I'm here at the store, I would have the tools to do that real easy like. Get the smoke out of my face. There we go. Okay, let's flip this up and look at it. Well, a few minutes ago, there's a big hole there. Let's get this stuff out of the floor. And we're really close. Really pretty close. Turn my oxygen settling on. I'll show you what I did when I heated up to do that with the torch on melting down the plastic on that boat, on that kayak. Now I've melted it already. It's the reason it's got plastic here. I'm just gonna burn that plastic off. Okay, I took a grinder and sanded off the rust and got it good and shiny. This is just a piece of like 1/8 inch square tubing. It's like 1.5 inches. And you could use any kind of metal. This is co-rolled steel, so any kind of steel, no stainless or no aluminum, but just regular steel metal. If a magnet sticks to it, it should work. And then I want to heat this up. You notice I ain't using my oxygen. I'm just using the torch part. That what I do is heat this up to cherry red. You see it turning red. Just like that right there. And just like that right there, I would actually go out there to the plastic and shape it to it. This way, when you're melting it, you can melt it instead of grinding it away. So you got more plastic on there that you're not getting rid of. And on the sides, when you put it on it, you know, try to move kind of fast at first and see what it's doing. I know when I was on the side of the keel of the boat, I'd sit there and hold it on it just a second, start moving it, and you could see the plastic on the side where it was not been no added on. It would actually start getting clear looking, like a runny, so it was definitely melting. And I just kind of sweep them together, and I smoothed every bit of that out. I heated this up 3 times just to melt that down on the back of that boat. So that's what it took to do it. I'm gonna lay this out here to let it cool down, since I'm not gonna use it, and I've got the boat done. But that's what it took to grind that down, or to take that boat and finish it up to where it looks like it is now. I hope that explains a little bit, since I lost my video on it. My camera didn't record. I'm hoping this is recording now. But let me take this off. This is on my hat. It shows it's counting, so it should be recording. But that's what it took to grind down. I mean, instead of grinding it down, I melted it down. And then after I got done with it, I do have the video of where I did take a Scotch-Brite pad on my little grinder and finish grinding it in. Didn't take no material off at all, more or less. It just got rid of the high lows. And then it turned into, I took a torch, not that torch, but the little hand torch, and flashed it off and shined it back up. So that's what it took to refill that kayak, to where that kayak is now ready to go. The customer came in and picked up that kayak, and he was tickled to death on that. So anyway, that's what it took. I hope it explains how to weld up a kayak. sure everything's straight so the track right. It looks pretty doggone straight to me. Now that's pretty good there. And you can see I didn't take hardly no plastic off, I just smoothed it out. And one last thing I'm gonna do is take a torch over that and make that shiny, make it where you can't see the sanding marks. Make it shiny. And there we have it. That's where I'm leaving it. Let me go ahead and get rid of some of these little scratches here. And the torch will take rid of some of it. They shine it up for him. There we go. Now you got a new tip on that thing.